In this episode, I talked to Jim about growth and how growth can create pressure. And when you have pressure, what often breaks? Jim's answer to me is fascinating. I think you're going to really learn something about how to think about the economics of your business and what it looks like to have cash available. I hope you enjoy.
How you can be the greatest salesperson on the planet.
Welcome to the Rethink Sales Show. My name is Derek Kelly. I am joined by Jim Shorkey and Marshall Siamahu in the back.
So glad Marshall's with us. This is fun. I like having Marshall over there. Need to get him on camera.
Yes, we're at the top of it.
Yeah, we'll get him.
On camera, guys.
We'll get on camera. You watch.
So, Jim, growth is interesting, specifically business growth, because often when you're growing, it can create pressure. And so we've talked about pressure before and what that looks like. But when you've seen businesses grow and they hit a pressure point, what seems to break first? What problem comes up first, and how do you address it?
So let's say the number's 10, okay? And we have circumstances surrounding the 10. It's just business. That could be customer complaints. That could be dissatisfied employees. That could be bills, all kinds of things that are surrounding that 10 that involve running a business. And we say, okay, we want to make it a 15. So we're going to grow the business 50%.
Great. That sounds good.
It sounds good. But in the meantime, we're going to have 50% more customer complaints. And is it possible that it might be even higher than that? Because we're trying to grow the business and we got all these different balls in the air. And maybe we're doing a mediocre job with customer complaints and satisfaction and whatnot. But now because we're busy trying to grow this thing, maybe it's even more. And these things take time to resolve. So the customer situation, if we have a dissatisfied employee and we try to work with them and get them trained up and everything, but that's evident and we're working on that and we're going to turn them around. But now we're trying to make the business 50% bigger, which means we'd have 50% more employees. What kind of employee problems are we going to have? There's situations that are going to occur that are going to disrupt our business in terms of trying to grow it. But what do you think the biggest challenge is going to be when you grow the business? What's the number one biggest challenge?
Cash flow.
Cash flow. I think actually funny. I was thinking about that. I think that's a way of covering things up. Let's just talk with cash. Forget cash flow. Cash. Okay. And when you're running a bigger business, it takes more cash to run that bigger business. Okay. And so if you're not prepared with the right amount of cash and you start growing your business, in a very short period of time, you could go broke. Now listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. I know what I'm talking about. This is a fact. It takes more cash to run a bigger business than it does to run a smaller business. You really need to understand that. And I don't like to talk about cash flow because I think it masks what we're really trying to do here, which is to guard our cash, protect our cash, grow our cash, okay? And if we're watching our cash and it starts to drop on a dramatic basis, clearly that's a cash flow problem. I get that, but that's not what I want to focus on. I want to keep it simple, smart. So let's talk through this with the cash, okay? And I've talked about this a number of times. So you have in a business that is run properly, and hopefully you understand this, and if you don't, boy, you better do some studying. You have what is called working capital. And working capital is a certain amount of cash in the bank to enable you to run your business. And so we want to establish a rule of thumb for day supply of working capital. Does that make sense? Okay, so what we would do, ladies and gentlemen, please do this today. This is really urgent. Take your business and look at your total operating expenses for 1 month, okay? And this would be the rent, the utilities, the advertising, the employee expenses, your own pay, everything you do that involves spending money. Does that sound like cash flow? Sounds like cash flow the wrong way, but that's why I don't want to talk about that. If we're spending money, that's cash flow going out the door.
That's
if we're
expensive.
making money, that's cash flow coming in the door. But if we're watching our cash and we understand how this works, then it gets a lot easier to really dial into it. Okay, so take your total operating expenses to the penny and add them up for 1 month.
Yep.
And just to pick a rough number, let's say that adds up to be $20,000. We know when we turn the key in the door this month, we're going to spend $20,000 to run our business. Do you know what your number is?
Absolutely.
It's really important.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So when you open the doors of
Clear Sun Consulting.
where you're at, Clear Sign Consulting, you know that you're going to spend this much money this month,
Yes, I do.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if we could lower that without being an idiot, that would be a good thing to do. So
Yeah.
we should be working on expenses, okay,
Yes.
as well. But
Hopefully
so
we sell more too, right?
well,
Yep. Keep it
no,
going.
you're getting ahead of yourself. Please forget about selling. I want to talk about working capital. That's not selling. Working capital is cash on hand. And so we know we're going to spend 20 grand. So now, in my way of looking at it, I need to have at least 20 grand in cash in the bank. And I know that I can run my business for 1 month with no revenue. And I'm going to be okay. Okay? Now, that said, that's 1 month. Sounds a little on the weak side. What do you think?
Yeah.
I'm out of business in a month. That's what it means. So I want to have a minimum of 90 days supply, 3 months of working capital. So in that example of 20 grand, I want to have 60 grand cash in the bank. I don't have it in the bank. Okay. Then when something goes wrong, you're going to get blown away. Just understand it. You need to have this much cash in the bank, 60 grand. Or and even at 60 grand, you're kind of borderline weak. Ideally, we want to have 6 months. Now we're at 120 grand. Okay. And if you want to be bulletproof, would you like to be bulletproof?
Sounds great.
Multiply the number times 12. Okay.
Yeah. It's
$240,000. So you have $250,000 cash on hand. That means that you can go for a whole year. Now we're going to get to where you interrupted me.
That's all right.
Now we're going to go to your example of revenue.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we have no revenue for 1 year. None. We can last for a whole
We
year.
can weather that storm.
We can weather that storm. It's not going to happen that you're going to have no revenue for
Yeah.
a job. So I'll tell you how. I'll tell you what. It could happen. COVID comes to mind.
Sure.
The Great Recession comes to mind. It could happen to where you don't sell anything for a month. And in my example of being bulletproof, you're okay. But what should you do within that month if you've listened to me at all?
You should train your team.
Okay, hold on. One word, only one word. It's called a pivot. So we go through a month, no revenue. When are we going to think a little bit and say, hey, wait, no revenue for a month? This isn't a pretty picture. I better do something different because this is not good. So I still have 11 months. I'm okay, but I better do a pivot.
Yeah.
And so that pivot would mean having a plan, structure. We talked about that earlier, having a structure. We're going to cut expenses as we can. By doing that, by the way, if we get those expenses down to 15 grand, we've just bought some extra time, have we not? Okay. So instead of being 20 grand, it's now 15 grand. It is a recession. It is COVID. Can we cut some of this fat out of the system? Okay. And then the second part of that pivot would be, what can we do to generate more revenue? If we can generate more revenue, we're buying time. Again, so do we need to maybe think of a different product to sell during this great recession / COVID?
Could be.
Could be, yeah. And do we need to, for example, if we could get our sales team trained better, you already stole my thunder there, would they maybe, instead of selling $100 per transaction, I'm just picking arbitrary numbers, could we maybe get them to 150? We just bought more time,
Yeah.
okay? So can we train better? When I went through the Great Recession, I developed what I call the Prosperity Plan.
Yes.
And I decided that originally I called it the Prosperity Plan. And I said to my team, I told them exactly what I was willing to lose. Okay. I knew I had the cash. And I knew about working capital. You need to know about working capital. I knew where I was. I knew what I had worked at it. So I had my cash position very solid so that if I had to, I could lose money. And I told my team, I can lose, I'm not going to give you the numbers. I could lose this much money. I'll be fine. I'd rather lose a quarter, whatever. I'm willing to lose money. But what I'm not willing to do, pivot, what I'm not willing to do is I'm not willing to lose market share. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in conquest mode. And I'm going to go out there because the thing is, there's no business out there. That is absolute nonsense. There's always business out there. Was there business out there during COVID? Was there business out there during the Great Recession? I can tell you point blank that the new car market in the United States of America, and I think I'm right about this, you can look it up. I think it went from 16 million down to 12 million. 4 million people went away. And I said to my team, and girls, I don't want to talk to the 4 million that went away. I want to talk to the 12 million who are still here. And let's get our fair share. Plus, we're going to take some of Derek's. And we're going to take some of Marshall's. We're going to conquest the market. That's the pivot. You hear it? That's the pivot. So we're going to guard our cash, control our expenses, and we're going to pivot into more revenue. And we may have to go so far as to sell a different product. Now, for example, during the Great Recession, I'm talking car business, but what do you think happened to the used car business? You think it went away?
No.
So let's get in the used car business. That's a way.
Yeah.
Maybe the used car market was such that people wanted inexpensive used cars. Let's get some inexpensive used cars then. I got so tired of hearing during COVID about how these poor businesses went out of business. I didn't buy into it, not once. The reason they went out of business is because they didn't know how to run their business. I'm sorry, guys. If you're one of the victims, I'm sorry. But the fact is, go back. Let's learn from it. Let's learn from the fact that you failed during COVID or during the Great Recession and just ask yourself this question. Did I know my cash position? Did I understand working capital? What was my day supply of working capital during those times? So that when something bad happened, I was ready for it. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yes.
How did we get off on that subject?
No, it's great.
How did we get up?
We were talking about growth.
Oh, yeah, growth
And
is
I
a
was
dangerous
saying,
thing.
what's the breaking point where growth creates pressure, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's what
It can.
It can, sure.
If you're not ready for it, yes, it can.
It can create pressure. And then what's that breaking point? You're basically saying the breaking point is you better know your working capital, or your breaking point's going to come pretty soon.
That's another thing I said to my team back in the Great Recession. I said, listen, this is the plan. And they had a copy of the prosperity plan. They all did. I said, now, here's your options. I don't want to lay anybody off during the Great Recession. Remember I said about cutting expenses. I did not want to do that. I didn't, and I didn't. But I said, listen, this is what we're going to do. If you choose not to do this, I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss you. We're going to do this. We're going to treat our customers better than we ever have in our history. We're going to train. We're going to make lots of phone calls. We're going to send lots of letters. We're going to do lots of emails. We're going to make sure that we treat the customers the best way we possibly can. We're going to out-service, out-train, out-deliver everybody else in the marketplace. So when a customer comes in, we're going to play upbeat music in the sales meetings, rocky music, etc. We're going to outplay everybody. We're going to play harder. We're going to work harder. If you don't want to work, we're going to miss you. We're not going to sit around complaining about how bad things are. We're going to conquest this situation. Let me tell you something, and I'm not bragging, guys and girls. I'm really not. We made more money during the Great Recession than ever in the history of the Jim Shirky Family Auto Group to that date. And I'm not bragging. I'm not. We had a plan. And to the point earlier with the earlier podcast, does the structure stifle creativity? No, it enables it. So I created this prosperity plan, which was a structure. Okay, you have it, by the way.
Yep.
I created that. But then my team
Had to work inside of it, yeah.
this strategic continuum, my team had to go out and execute it. If that's not creativity, come on, guys, look it up. If executing Chuck Noll's plan wasn't the responsibility of the players, who did the blocking and tackling? They had a structure, but they had the structure that Chuck Noll established along with his defensive coordinators and offensive coordinators, the whole thing. The structure enabled the creativity of Terry Bradshaw.
Yeah, it's true.
You want to see something really interesting, really fabulous? I watched it last night. I actually sent it to my brother. Terry Bradshaw's Hall of Fame induction acceptance speech. Unbelievable. It made me cry. But what those guys did. I mean, don't tell me structure stifles. Structure enables. Okay, so we have to be ready for the Great Recession.
Yeah.
And then we have to execute during the Great Recession. That's why you watch that cash position. And that's why you watch your working capital. And Seneca talked about that. Seneca, Stoic, I love the Stoic. He said, the man who prepares for obstacles makes it easier on himself when the obstacles show up. And that's a paraphrase.
Yeah.
You can look it up, Marcia. It's a great quote. The man who prepares. I actually have it on the coin. I
think it was something like, the man who prepares in the time of trouble is ready when it comes.
Well, when he prepares for trouble.
Yes.
It's more ready when it comes.
Before,
Somehow.
Yep.
And we actually, last time we talked about HbA1c and how that's an important number. And yeah, I don't have type 2 diabetes, but my number's higher than I want it to be. So I'm taking precautions, green tea,
Yes, you are.
to prepare myself for if it does show up the wrong way, that I'm ready
Yes.
to handle it. That make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so we really should be preparing for the recession today.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just a dummy. I'm just a dumb old car salesman. I know that. But I'm thinking maybe sometime in the future, there might be another recession. Maybe. I think maybe. There may be another COVID type of occurrence. I'm thinking that might happen. Do you think we should get ready?
Yeah.
That's why we watch not cash flow. We watch cash.
Yeah.
And by the way, now the nuances of cash. How do we increase cash? By increasing the positive cash flow and by minimizing the negative cash flow. Cash in, cash out.
Yep.
I understand that. But I think when you talk about cash flow, you're not talking about
Yeah, it makes
the
it
real-
sound all nice. Like the sugar coating.
Let's talk about cash. Cash is king. Now, how do we get to cash? Cash. Make sense?
Yep.
I just think we're kind of almost turning it into a euphemism or something.
Yeah.
Cash, it's $100 bills stacked up, okay, in a box, in the bank. It's cash.
Yeah, it's money on hand, basically.
Money in hand, exactly. And cash flow is like
Yeah,
trying
cash.
to grab onto a water, come out of water. That's water flow. But you can't grab onto it.
Right.
Sure as I can grab onto the $100 bills.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, guys. If you're on YouTube, please hit the hype button. If you're on Facebook, please share this so other people can see. Thank you, guys. We'll see you in the next episode.